Well, we had 12 new players join our program this fall. We certainly needed some additions in losing some players over the last several years, some key players. We knew this was going to be an important class. I feel like we have a very good group. Um, some are further along than others. Players like Alfred Karoma, Dylan Cerna, Robbie Dershang, who transferred from SMU, Fernando Pina, and Andrew Souders. Those five in particular, I think, will compete immediately for starting spots or time off the bench. Karoma, you'll see somewhere in the forward line, either one of the wings or in the number 9, the central forward position, if we play with 3 up top. Dylan Cerna is a player that could play up top as well, or possibly in the middle. Fernando Pina is certainly going to be competing for the goalkeeper position. Andrew Souders can play anywhere along the back line, and Robbie Dershang is another guy that can play on the wings. So those 5 guys in particular, I think, have really shown well. Alfred's an exciting player. He's dynamic. He's a game changer, and we needed that. We lost some of these type of guys over the last several years: the Nagbys and the Zakawanis and the Bunburys, and these type of guys have been key players, goal scorers, strikers, game changers, and I think Alfred brings similar abilities and talents. He's still a little raw. He needs to learn the game tactically and focus a little bit more for 90 minutes, but he's an exciting player. Dylan Cerna is of the mold of some of our top midfielders that we've had over the years, the Nanshoffs, the Ampis. He's a real clever little player, left-footed, quick, skillful, and creative, and I think brings a playmaking ability to our team that we didn't have last year. Andrew Souders is kind of a old-school throwback, hard-nosed central defender. We were missing a little bit of that last year. I think he brings balance. He brings grit. He's a very focused, determined, battling type player, and he's mentally tough. So I think that puts him in a position to get on the field, because we need those types of guys as well. Robbie Dershang is a extremely dangerous winger, left-sided. If we play with a 3-back, he'll provide the width on the left. If we play with a 4-back, he's a guy that, again, I think will provide most of the width on the left side. But he's very dangerous. His ability to go one-on-one, beat players, get service is second to none. So I think he's going to be a guy that we're real excited about. He's been a bit injured, but as he gets healthy and match fit, you'll see him more and more. And then Fernando Pina is a really talented young goalkeeper, a good shot stopper, great with his feet as well. We need that when we play through our back line, build out of the back. We need our goalkeeper involved in the build-up, and he adds a dimension that maybe we haven't had in the past in that regard. We'll need some time, though, to get settled in and gain experience. But those 5 guys are exciting. And then from there, we have some other guys that I think are also in the mix. Matt Foldesy, in the midfield. He's a guy that is versatile. He's skillful, also works hard. So we're still waiting to see if he's going to be ready. He may or may not play this year. Right now, we want to see how he comes along in the next several weeks. Phil Fives is a left-sided guy, can play left back. He's shown very well in the preseason, probably one of the biggest surprises to date. Again, another one, maybe we're not sure if he'll play or not, but going to be a very good player in the future, and want to see how he does in the next several weeks to determine if we're going to use him this year. Omari Morris is another one in that kind of category. Right winger, dynamic, a lot of pace, can open the game up, look to stretch and penetrate. So he's another one that needs a little time, but could be someone that we bring in off the bench to provide a a different look. And then from there, with the other newcomers, we see guys like Brad Ruhak and Alex Rinaldi and Chase Jabori, Osas Malkin. These are developmental players, but we really like them a lot, and we're glad they're in the program. But they're most likely gonna redshirt, and we'll need some time to grow and develop. But down the road, they're going to be key players for us, as long as they continue to develop. I think in a lot of ways, your team is a reflection of your seniors, and they kind of go in the direction that your seniors go. The most successful teams that I've had over the years have had seniors that were the driving forces, and I think we have that this year in players like Chad Barson, David Mavis, Scott Caldwell, and Tommy Schmidt. Scott, Chad, and Mavis played significant roles, in the last several years, and Tommy as well. So they've won a lot of games for us. They've been a part of college cups, national championships, conference championships. They know what it takes. They obviously know what we expect. They're proud of, I think, the tradition, and they've really embraced the responsibility that they have to uphold the tradition, but also take it even further. They've been tremendous in preseason, not only in their example on the field, but off the field, and in the little messages that they're giving to the new guys. I feel like they're, in a lot of ways, coaches on the field, and that helps a lot. That helps our job, because we as coaches will reinforce what we need to reinforce to imprint things on the new guys, but they need to help inside the lines, on the field, and off the field to continue those messages. So we feel good about those four, and like I said, they've contributed to some of the most successful years in this program's history. So they know what it takes, they know what it's about, and they've lived it. And I think that experience will really help the rest of the group. Well, what I think we have this season that maybe we didn't have last season. And last season we were not satisfied at all, but we were pleased with the way that it ended. Losing so many players to the pros, seven starters, 7 professionals. We were worried a little bit how the year would go. Reloading that talent was quite an undertaking, but we were pleased in the end that we were able to stay as a top level program, realistic contender to win the championship, and I think in the end we had a good season, winning 15 games, only losing 4 games. But there were a few, I think, ingredients that were missing, and the biggest one was experience. We had a lot of new guys. Some of the players that were in the uniform in games were guys that had been here but really hadn't been in a starting role, and I think it took time for them to get comfortable in that. New guys, we had a lot of new players who just really were figuring it out still, and it created a dynamic where at times we were inconsistent. We'd get it right one game, and then the next game, we would either let our guard down, or the next game we were anxious, nervous at times. And so I think, mentally we weren't as tough as we usually are. I think a big part of that just was the lack of experience. So this year we now have 7 returning starters. That's a good core of guys. In fact, I think we have 10 total returning players that have started a game, but 7 guys that started the majority of the games last year. And these guys are, guys that know now what it's about, and they're comfortable in their roles, and they even though we didn't win the championship or get to the College Cup, they still won 15 games last year. So that's a lot of games to win. And then you add on the new guys, which for me is one of the most talented classes we've ever had. You add them in the mix, and I think what it creates is a really good culture where we have experience, but also some really talented young guys that inject some dynamic attacking pieces and depth in every position, and it just feels better. I think psychologically I felt a better spirit out of the group, more confidence, better mentality from day to day in terms of the focus, and overall leadership for me has been much improved. Guys like Brian Gallego and Will Trapp, who were freshmen last year, they're sophomores this year, and they've really taken on an increased leadership role to help Scott Caldwell and Chad Barson. And I think that's really helped Chad and Scott to have two other guys that are really dominant personalities, every single day setting the tone, and also every single day showing on the field what it takes. Those two guys in particular have really stood out for me as leaders in addition to Scott and Chad. So I think we have a team that's more seasoned and more ready, and I think we're a much deeper team as well. We can have, even though we never want to have it, if we have injuries, we have enough depth to not miss a beat. If there's performance spikes up and down, we can make changes and we don't miss a beat. If we have a game where we have some inconsistencies, which I don't think we will have as much this year, but if we do, we can make changes. We got guys on the bench that can come in and make things better. So you factor all those things in. I really like the potential of this team, and I think we will be a realistic contender again at the end of the year. In saying that, we have arguably one of the most difficult schedules in the country, probably the most difficult schedule that I've ever put together, and that's exciting. I think this group can handle it. They're ready for it. It means that we're going to have to be at our best every single game, and if we're not, there's a good chance we don't get the result. But in the end, that's what we need in order to be ready to play for a national championship in the postseason. We don't set up our schedule to get easy wins. We set it up to challenge ourselves, to measure ourselves, to grow. And if that means taking a loss to learn, then so be it. We're going to go into every game expecting to win, and looking at the schedule as difficult as it is, there's no reason why we shouldn't approach every game that way. But the reality is, with the opponents, the caliber of opponents we're playing, the margin for error is going to be more slim than maybe it was even last year and in years prior. But I know our guys are up for the challenge. I know they're excited. I know that our RPI will be very high, which is another reason that we need to schedule difficult opponents so that we have the opportunity to get seeding for the postseason, so that we get home games. We fell short a little bit on that last season. We won 15 games, but our RPI wasn't good enough to get us as many home games as we would have liked. And we talked about that. In the end, we ended up having to go on the road to play Charlotte to go to the round of 8. And if we would have taken care of business in a few more games, or maybe scheduled a little tougher, then we're probably at home for that game, which makes a huge difference in the NCAA tournament. When we went to 2 college cups, we had 3 home games leading up to the college cup. And so we wanted to bolster our schedule, and we felt with this group they could handle it. And I think they can. They're up for it, and they're excited about it. But it's going to be difficult. The first 3 weekends we play 4 top 15 ranked teams, I believe it is. And a team like Florida Gulf Coast even is an NCAA tournament team. It's not going to be an easy game. And we turn around and we go to Creighton, College Cup team, and then the next weekend we play IU and Notre Dame at Notre Dame's tournament, 2 perennial national powers, and then we come back at our tournament and we play South Florida and St. John's. So those first 4 weekends are going to be brutal. But I like it because we're going to find out where we're at, and I'd rather know where we're at early in the season so we can make changes and corrections and adjustments than all of a sudden be scrambling at the end of the year trying to figure things out. And so it's good. I think we'll be thrown in the fire, right off the bat, and we'll see how these guys do, and I'm confident they're going to do very well. And we're all looking forward to it. Once we get past the first 4 weekends, it doesn't get any easier. We play, our usual Big Ten, Penn States, Ohio States, Michigan States of the worlds. We have West Virginia now joining our conference. The conference games are never easy, even though on paper sometimes they don't seem to be of the caliber of the other games. we rarely will have an easy game in conference, because every time we play against a conference team, they want to knock off Akron. It's their national championship, and they're playing in a lot of ways. Their season is to beat us, to get hopefully in a position to win the conference tournament, which is, for most teams, the only way they're going to get in the NCAA tournament. And so we got everybody gunning for us, and we like that. We're looking forward to it, and I know with this schedule we're going to be, like I said, ready to hopefully make a run to win the national championship. And that's really what it's about. That's our number one goal. We want to have a good record, certainly, but more importantly, we want to have a good record in the postseason. I'd rather be undefeated at the end of the year than undefeated during the year. And typically, if you're undefeated during the year, you've not scheduled hard enough or been challenged enough, and rarely will a team run the table. So in some ways, in 2009, maybe we didn't get challenged enough, which led to us possibly not winning the national championship. So hopefully this year we'll be challenged more and be more ready.